here so that we could feel it with our fingers. And I was so happy when I learned how to read Braille because it was like a whole world opened up to me. Before that, I couldn't read or do anything like sighted people, but when I learned how to read Braille, I was so excited about that because then I could read, I could do things, I could think, I could dream just like a sighted person. So Braille is like a new language that opens up new possibilities. And this scripture reading is also about all kinds of wonderful things that God does for the people who follow Him. It's Isaiah chapter 35, if you happen to want to follow along. Isaiah chapter 35. And once again, I'm very sorry it isn't an Urdu. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God. Strengthen you the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God shall come. Even your God shall come, and He shall save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame leap as a deer, and the tongue of those who cannot speak shall sing. For in the wilderness water shall break out, and streams in the desert, and the parched ground shall become a pool for the thirsty ground, springs of water. And the habitation of dragons there shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, and there shall not be any of those wayfaring men, though fools they shall not go there. No lion shall be there, neither shall any ravenous beast go there. But the redeemed of the Lord shall be there, and those whom the Lord saves shall return, and they shall come to Zion with everlasting joy, and they shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. Isn't that a wonderful scripture? That's my favorite, one of my favorite scriptures. And when I was really young, my father was Italy. I'm just going to tell you something small about myself. When I was little, my father is Italian, so I have some feel of when we were little, we traveled to Italy, and then I traveled a lot in my life, so I feel very comfortable in different places that are not American. So thank you for letting me have this chance to be with you. But when I was in Italy, my first experience of the presence of God was in a little church in the village, something like this, where they were singing, and they had beautiful songs, and they sang the way you do, at the top of their voices, praising God. And I felt the presence of God so strongly that it changed my whole life. I was only 4 years old. I didn't understand the language, but I felt God's presence. And then I went to Overbrook School for the Blind, and I was very lonely there because my family was in Scranton. And back then, in the 60s, people didn't travel very much. So I didn't get home very much. And there were many things that happened in my life that were very sorrowful. But throughout my entire life, I felt and I had God's presence with me. And I think that one of the most important things that God has done for me is He has changed my name. Have you ever heard of that book? It's an old book. I don't know if any of you read these allegories. It's like a Christian book. It's called Hind's Feet on High Places. Have you ever heard of that book?
Yeah, I read that, yeah.
It's a very nice book. And it talks about the person's name at the beginning of the book is very much afraid. But then her name is changed because she meets the shepherd. And that's something that we try to do at Lighthouse a lot. We try to help people who are in distress for whatever reason, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. They're in distress. So we try to help them. And recently, Shazia invited my sister and I have a twin sister, and she's a wonderful person. And Shazia invited us to go to Pakistan. She had it in her mind that, well, of course, many people are suffering there, and they don't have the opportunities that we have so much in America. So many plentiful opportunities we have. It sort of makes me, when I first went to Wegmans, for example, do you have a Wegmans here, or Fresh Fields, or something like that? Yeah. When I first went there, I thought to myself, it actually made me sick, to tell you the truth, when I was walking down the aisles and I saw all the different food we had, because not that I wasn't grateful, but I actually thought of all the waste of the food that we have and how many choices we have in America, and I know that it's something that we can be grateful for, but I also thought of all the other people who don't have that, and it actually made me sick to my stomach to think about that. But so Shazia invited my sister and I to go in September to Pakistan, and my sister is a teacher in her church, so she will teach scripture there to the women, and we have Shazia's brother, a nurse and a doctor who have already committed themselves to help us when we go there in September. We're going to be going from September 7th to the 18th, and an eye camp will be set up, and at one other medical camp, so that people who are in danger of losing their eyesight will be able to have some sponsorship from America so that they will be able to have their eyesight saved. And my sister will be doing some evangelistic work, and I'll be there doing some counseling and some natural healing and giving testimonials. And I'd like to thank Shazia for that opportunity, because it never would have occurred to us. We never would have had the opportunity to do that. And I also would like to thank you for this opportunity of sharing with you. May God bless you.